You know, in software development, one of the biggest hurdles isn't even writing new code. It's trying to make sense of the code that's already there. And this one problem creates this huge, invisible drag on productivity, slowing down pretty much every project out there. And if you want to understand just how big of a deal this is, just look at this number, 40%. That's what it represents. Nearly 2 full workdays every single week that developers are losing just trying to figure out existing code. That's not time they're spending building cool new features or innovating. It's basically a hidden tax on everything they do. So, all of this confusion, this massive cost, it really stems from a single fundamental problem: the completely broken relationship between our code and the documentation that's supposed to explain it.
And here's where the conflict really lies. See, code is a living, breathing thing, right? It's always evolving, always changing with every update, every bug fix. But traditional documentation, well, that's static. The second it's written, it starts to get old, it starts to decay.
This creates a really dangerous situation. I mean, an outdated document isn't just unhelpful, it's actively misleading. It's like a bad map. It sends developers down the completely wrong path, wasting their time and creating even more confusion because it's describing a system that just doesn't exist anymore. To fix this, we really need a whole new approach. One that solves the problem right at the source by totally rethinking what documentation should even be. And this new approach is called living documentation. Now, instead of being this separate file that somebody has to manually create and update, the documentation is a direct reflection of the code itself. It literally can't go out of date because it's generated from the one and only source of truth. And Google's Code Wiki is built on this very idea.
So how does this all work in practice? Well, it's actually remarkably straightforward.
You basically just point the system at your code repository. That's it. It then goes in and just ingests the entire thing, parsing every file, every function, every module to build this complete understanding of how everything fits together. And from that moment on, every single time a developer pushes a change, the documentation is automatically and instantly regenerated to reflect it.
Having this automated, always-on process unlocks some incredibly powerful capabilities for any developer who's trying to get up to speed.
You can get a high-level summary of a whole project in just a few seconds. You can ask it really specific things in plain English, like, how does the authentication system work? Or, show me the design patterns used in this section. And, this is the best part, the explanations actually link you directly to the specific files and lines of code that are being described. So it bridges that huge gap between understanding something and actually implementing it. You know, the best way to think about a tool like this isn't really as a piece of software, but more like a new kind of team member. It's like having a senior engineer who's been on the project since day one. Someone who knows every single corner of the code base, has a perfect memory of every change ever made, is always available to answer your questions, and has endless patience to explain things over and over again if you need it. And the impact of this is just massive. Onboarding a new engineer onto a complex project can go from taking weeks down to just a few days. And those huge, scary legacy code bases that nobody wants to touch, all of a sudden, they become navigable. They become understandable. When you step back, you realize this is more than just a neat new tool. It represents a fundamental shift in how we should be thinking about our work. And this gets right to the heart of it. For decades, we've treated documentation like this separate, painful chore. But this new approach proves that documentation isn't separate at all. It should just be a natural property of the code itself. By freeing developers from that tax of just trying to understand outdated systems, we're not just making them more efficient. We're unlocking so much latent potential. When documentation is transformed from this burden into a dynamic, intelligent asset, the focus can shift entirely towards innovation and towards building what comes next.